Uh-oh. Please try again. What does that mean? Oh, we are live. Hi, I'm Jackie Morey. I am your web TV host for this episode of the 21st Century Legacy Letter Show. Welcome, everybody. It's good to be with you. Now, I see that Carmen, you're here. Welcome, Carmen. Welcome, Rosemary. It's good to be with you. And I wanna ask for those of you who are with us live right now, would you kindly type your name and tell us where you are and where you're hanging out from? Um, I am hanging out from Seattle, suburbia, and my featured guest, Debbie Cundey Owen. Where are you hanging out from, Debbie?
I live in Massachusetts, a little bit outside of Boston.
Wonderful, excellent. Good to have you on the show, Debbie. And
Yeah, it's
just so
great to be
glad to
here.
hang out with you today.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Carmen is hanging out from Southern Colorado. Welcome, Carmen. Now, Carmen, can you see us clearly? And can you? We're just this is just the green room. So, can you see us clearly? And can you hear both me and Deborah clearly? So, please just type in yes, I can hear you clearly, or no, it's not quite clear. Okay. And anyway, we are in the green room. So what is the green room? For those of you who are joining us live and for the first time, or those of you who are watching the replay and are watching this show for the very first time, we're in the green room where my featured guest and I get to interact with you live, for those who are watching live. And for those who are watching the replay, we just get to chat a little bit and banter a little bit. And oh, Carmen is saying that Debbie's voice is louder than mine.
I just
Okay.
turned my mic down a little bit. I don't know if that
Okay.
makes much of a difference.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. All righty. Well, thank you, Carmen. Thank you for that feedback. Anyway, after we do a little bit of the green room, we're going to go into the actual interview where I focus solely on my featured guest today, Deborah Cundey Owen. And then after that is the Q&A, the question and answer, and we'll also give you your bonuses. So please stick around for until the very end so that you can get your bonus, okay? All righty. Well, if you don't mind typing in the chat room what you're grateful for, I always like to cultivate an attitude of gratitude and a heart posture of gratefulness. So, what are you grateful for? Please type it in the chat room or share a win, because a win, it's something that for me I'm grateful for. I'm always grateful for a win. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of a win of mine, and that is couch time. I have couch time with my husband every day, and what we do is we either sit on the couch or we sit in bed and we just talk about the day, and we talk about things that, concerning our children, or things concerning his job, or how my day went, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a time of really connecting with my husband. So to me, that's a win. What is your win? What are you grateful for? I'm obviously grateful for my husband. Deborah, what are you grateful for?
I just put in, I'm grateful for my family. I love spending time with my family. And this 3-day weekend for the holiday was a great opportunity for all of us to get together. And our kids don't really live with us anymore, so that's always a great. We always look forward to that.
Wow, how awesome. Wonderful. I'm so glad you got to spend time with your family this past weekend.
Yep.
I want to greet Debbie. I want to greet Rosemary. Rosemary says she's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Rosemary. It's good to be with you. Carmen is grateful for a great result from recent medical labs. That is always something to be grateful for, our
Sure.
health, right? Debbie, I know you're very healthy. What do you do to keep healthy, Deborah?
Oh, I work out on my elliptical just about every day, and I try to eat well. Some days it's easier than other days.
Yeah.
And, I work hard to get enough sleep, although my husband and my children would tell me I'm not getting enough sleep. So those are those are important things. And I was just out in the yard walking my dogs for a few minutes before we got started here. So that, taking time out to refresh and reframe and come back emotionally ready to engage with you and our audience here.
Fantastic, Debbie. I love that. If you don't have Debbie as your friend on Facebook, just go and friend Debbie and ask to be added to her list of
Sure.
huge list of friends, because when Debbie does a Facebook Live video, it's always outdoors. And I love that. I get to see the community where Debbie lives. There's woods, lots of
Yep.
woods in Debbie's
Lots of
area.
woods.
And right, Debbie?
Yep, lots of woods. We live. Our house is at the end of a dirt road in a rural town in Massachusetts. So it's great to be in the woods here with our dogs.
How wonderful. Well, we have woods, but it's not very near. We have a small neighborhood, and then we have to drive a little bit, and then we have woods. Lots of woods here in Seattle, though. Lots of hiking places here too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great.
Well, I want to quote Warren Buffett. He says, "The more you learn, the more you earn." What are you going to learn today? Well, today, you and I are going to discover 3 things that you and I need to look for when deciding which mastermind group to join. You're also going to learn 3 mistakes to avoid that people make when they are forming their own mastermind groups. And you're going to learn at least 2 best practices for small business owners to create engaging content that develops and strengthens your relationship with your prospects, your warm leads, and your existing customers. So you're going to discover a lot, and we're going to learn a lot today together. I want to quote also Seth Godin. He says, "Leadership is the art of giving people a platform for spreading ideas that work." And I really believe that the ideas that Debbie is going to share with you and with me today are so valuable, and they're ideas that work. So if you don't mind, at the bottom right of your screen, there are 2 icons, a Facebook icon and a Twitter icon. If you don't mind clicking on both of them, they're going to open up in a different small window, and just share this episode with your Facebook family and friends. And if you have a Twitter account and you have Twitter followers, please also share this episode with your Twitter followers. We would really appreciate that. And after you've done that, just say, "Yes, I've shared or something like that. And we would really, really appreciate it. Anyway, let me see if there are any other guests on this show. Okay, there we go. Any other audience, I should say, on this show. Okay. Well, I want to do a poll, and I want to ask our audience, have you ever been a member of one or more mastermind groups? Yes or no? And there's no right or wrong answer. We just want to know, and we just want to gauge the temperature of our audience. And I'm going to end the poll in 5 moments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, Debbie, so far, 100% of those who participated say yes, they have been a member of one or more mastermind groups. Can you speak to that, please, Debbie?
Oh, I think that's fantastic. And in fact, one of the things I wanted to make sure we mentioned today is that you should be a member of 3 different mastermind groups. And we can talk about that some more during the show.
Wonderful. Excellent, Debbie. All right. I'm going to add another poll. And this one is going to be the second one. Let's see here. What is the top reason you would want to join a mastermind group? Is it for accountability? Is it for growth? Is it for networking? Or is it some or all of the above? So please just click on whatever. Again, Webinar Jam uses anonymous polls. I will not know what you answered. I will not know who answered what. So just click on any of these answers, and then we will end the poll in 5 more moments. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, these are great answers. What do you think about this, Debbie? It says, well, all of them, 100% of those who participated live say some or all of the above reasons: accountability, growth, and networking. What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are 3 of the key pieces out of 4 for being in a mastermind, what you get from being in a mastermind. So we'll talk about that in the show as well.
Fabulous. Okay. Well, I want to remind everyone that we had guests in previous weeks. Paul and Angie Wagler, we talked about marriage, and then we had Michael Zurenko. He is an astute businessman, and we talked about real estate investing and everything, well, as much as we could have, real estate. And then we had Larry Rad. He is a success coach and a person who teaches on the abundance mindset and prosperity. And last week we had Dr. Becky Slaybaugh, and we talked about the prophetic word. This week, we have my friend, I'm honored to interview, Deborah Cundey Owen. Next week, we're going to have Stephen and Vicky Bolt, and this is going to be about dating relationships and about marriage relationships. I know some people, personally, who are struggling in their marriage, and also some who are struggling in their relationships, their dating relationships. So if you know anybody or if you know several people that would benefit from learning or even asking questions live of my guests next week, please stay tuned for the link to register. And I'd love for everyone to attend that particular episode live as well. And then after that, we're going to have the season finale. And from there, we're going to take maybe a couple of weeks off, maybe 2 or 3 weeks off, and then we'll start season 2. All right. One more thing before we start the interview. When I hold up this card, and I'm just going to smile like this, please don't don't be shocked, or don't get don't be surprised. What we do is, let me explain a little bit to those of you who are watching for the very first time. What we do is we are going to be editing the interview. So we're going to cut this green room out. We're going to cut the question and answer out, and we're going to pop in the interview some spaces for sponsors to participate in. Okay, so when I hold up a card like this, and I smile, just wait until I say welcome back. All right. Okay. Well, let me turn down this just a tad. Okay, Debbie, can you say something, please?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Great. Awesome. Great. Wonderful. All right. Well, I want to start the show. I mean, the actual interview right now. And let's see here. I want to make sure that I turned my phone off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to ring. It's on vibrate, but either way, I want it off right now. Folks, it's just a tip. When you are doing a show, please turn off your phones. It's just really disrespectful to your guests and to your audience if you have your phone on. So mine is turning off right now, and it's off. There we go. Boom. All righty. Okay, so I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to start the video, and then we're going to begin, okay?
All right.
I'm going to count 3, 2, 1. All right, let me see here. Okay. Welcome back. Okay, I'm going to count 3, 2, 1, and we're going to start the interview. And make sure you stay tuned until the end, because we're going to have your bonuses for you. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I want to make sure that we're good to go here. All right. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Jackie Morey. I'm a multiple #1 international best-selling author, co-founder of Customer Strategy Academy, and your host of the 21st Century Legacy Letters show. My featured guest today, Deborah Cundey Owen, is a mastermind copywriting and content marketing expert. Before we dive into the legacy word for the show and the interview, let's take a few moments to thank our sponsors. Welcome back. Today's legacy word is mastermind, or it stands for also mastermind groups. Now, what is a mastermind group? Well, it's a group of like-minded people who meet for brainstorming, accountability, education, experience, influence sharing sessions. That's what a mastermind group is. Now, let me quote someone who I believe was the one who made mastermind groups popular, and that's Napoleon Hill. He's the author of the best-selling book, Think and Grow Rich. And here's what he says about mastermind groups. If you find you are weak in persistence, surround yourself with a mastermind group. Now, what is a mastermind group not? What a mastermind group is not is it is not a class. Number 2, it's not group coaching. And number 3, it's not a networking group, although networking can and does happen frequently in mastermind groups. Now, what are the purposes of mastermind groups? I'm just going to go through this very quickly because I really want to dive into the interview. Number 1, you can be a part of a community. of like-minded people. Number two, collaboration. Collaboration happens in mastermind groups. You can find people who are strong at what you're not, and then you're strong at what they're not, and then you can collaborate together. Number three, advice and fresh ideas. Number four, growth and progress. I really believe the most progress I've made is when I've been part of mastermind groups. Now, what else? Number five, a purpose for mastermind groups is accountability. Number six, networking. Seven, cross promotion. Eight, you can have an abundance mindset when you're around the right people. Nine, the mastermind group can help you focus. And number 10, success. So those are just some of the purposes of becoming a part of a mastermind group. Now, I'd like to end with a quote from C.S. Lewis. He's the author of the Chronicles of Narnia. And here's what he says: the next best thing to being wise oneself is to live in a circle of those who are. And that's what I believe mastermind groups are. You surround yourself with other people who are wiser, maybe, than you, people who are knowledgeable in areas that you're not. And then you also, of course, you bring your knowledge and your wisdom and your expertise to the table. So there's that synergy that happens. And anyway, I want to end with that. And before we begin the interview, let me share a little bit about my featured guest today. Deborah Cundey Owen is an award-winning podcaster, best-selling author, copywriter, and content marketing specialist. She's also the founder of Winning Content Strategy. This content marketing company helps small business owners increase their impact, influence, and income by developing mutually profitable relationships through engaging and inspiring content. After 12 years of experience as a school librarian and a national award for teaching excellence, Deborah turned her hand to her own local and virtual coaching business for parents, youth, and athletes. During this time, she received certifications in mindset, relationship, and life coaching, and had the opportunity to work closely with 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs around the world. Now, Deborah combines all these skills and contacts in her mission, which is to support and grow 1,000 local businesses in the Boston area over the next 3 years through the power of local mastermind groups. I'd like to welcome to the show my guest, Deborah Cundey Owen. Hi, Deborah. How are you doing today?
Jackie, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be part of your show. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deborah, for coming on. Now, Deborah, who would you like to dedicate this episode of the 21st Century Legacy Letters show to, please?
Oh, to my husband, for sure. Always, for his support. Yeah, he's always there. It's great.
How wonderful. Definitely. Well, Debbie, take a minute, please, and fill in the gaps in that intro, and please share a glimpse into your personal life.
Well, you hit on most of the key points. I think that the key thing is that when I had been teaching for 12 years, and for a variety of reasons was starting to feel like I was ready for something different as a public school library teacher. And what did I do when I was a public school library teacher? I taught kids how to do research skills, and I also provided them with lots of books to read, and I just engaged with them one-on-one in the library. I didn't have to grade them, so I was able to have relationships with the regulars, the kid. We all know who the library regulars are in high school, right? So
Right.
there's a handful of kids like that, and you get to know them very well. And so anyway, when I decided it was time to do something different, I started taking a whole bunch of courses in how to do things online. I got coaching certifications and started my parent and eventually youth coaching business as well. So that's kind of the little missing piece there. I guess the rest of the story is, as I was trying to grow that business and had some trouble getting traction, I was connecting with, as I said, 6- and 7-figure earners around the world. I learned a lot of amazing marketing skills, and I participated in some incredible masterminds, and basically doors started opening for me. And I know we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And that's why I've kind of did a little bit of a pivot, and that's where I am, how I ended up where I am right now.
Fantastic. I am so proud of you, Deborah. And I know that you're really good at so many different things, and for you to really pivot is amazing. I know that you are positioning yourself as a parenting coach. So
Mm-hmm.
before we move into what you're currently working on, would you kindly list 3 parenting lessons for those raising teenagers, which some believe are the hardest years to raise kids?
Sure. Well, one of the things that I'm doing right now, since I'm not teaching, is I am still working as an advisor or volunteering as an advisor for the high school group at our church. So yeah, teens, I love teens. They're great. The thing is, you need to give them a lot of leeway. They need choices. They need to be able to, I guess the key is you need to be able to help them grow wings instead of while they're having roots. And I know that's kind of a cliche, but it's true. And so the 3 C's that I teach parents when I'm talking about having great parenting skills are, the first C is control, and that has to do with controlling your own emotions, because it's so easy to just allow, when your teenager's pushing your buttons, just to get, you get so upset with them and you start yelling at them and they yell at you, and then it just spirals down this terrible place. So that's the first thing, is to learn to control your emotions. And I could talk about this for a long time. Very briefly, just control your breath, change your thoughts from negative to positive, stop talking so much. And there's some other things like that too. But the issue is, you're the adult in the room. You need to control your emotions. The second C is connect. And how do we connect? Well, clearly with eye contact. If you spend your time, for the next week, if you're struggling with your teenager, and you actually carry around a little pad of paper or in your phone or whatever, and you write down every time you have true eye contact with your teenager, not just glancing eye contact, but true eye contact, and see if this week you count how many times you have that. Next week, see if you can have it more times. If you really work to have honest eye contact with your teenager without insisting on it, don't just say to your kid, look at me when I'm talking to you, because that's intimidating, and that's they're going to get afraid of you. They'll never admit it, but they are. So just, honest, gentle, loving eye contact. The second piece is, the third C, of course, is conduct. And I talk about being a parent conducting from a kind of a servant leadership position, where you're still in charge and you still have boundaries, but you give your teenager, as I said, as much leeway as possible. You want them to grow wings. They need to begin to have independence. They also need to understand what it means to have responsibility and the consequences that come from responsibility. So, like, in a nutshell, that's like a 6-week course in 3 minutes. There you go.
Wow, that was definitely value packed. I was taking notes. So control our emotions.
Control your own emotions as the adult. That's the first thing you need to do.
Right. And then connect.
Connect.
And conduct from a servant leadership position.
Right.
Oh, my word, that's definitely a 6-week course. Easily.
Yeah, easily.
Right?
At least.
Definitely. Well,
Yeah.
Debbie, you've recently pivoted to doing local masterminds and not running running a business regarding content marketing, copywriting, and customer conversion. Would you take a couple of minutes to share your story for those who are thinking about pivoting? That is, maybe when and why they should pivot from focusing on one thing and then pivoting to another thing, please.
Yeah, and it's a really important question, because I resisted it for months. What happened was, as I indicated, I was struggling to get traction in my own kind of parent coaching business, and so I started adding on youth coaching, which I think is really important as well. And what happened was, when I needed some money. So I took a look at my talents and skills, and I'm a pretty decent writer. And what I did was I took a job working for Todd Brown, who is kind of a big name internet marketing guy. And I was his content manager for probably 9 or 10 months. And what I did was I channeled Todd Brown. I got transcripts of his coaching calls, and I turned those coaching calls into blog posts on his website and put his name on them, even though I was the one who wrote them, because they were his words, they were his ideas, absolutely. And I tried to write with his voice, and so it was absolutely right for me to put his name on it. But I wrote it. I channeled Todd Brown and his marketing ideas for months. Do you think I learned a little bit about marketing? Yeah, I did. And so things, he decided to kind of go in a different direction, and he let a couple of people go as he was kind of reestablishing where he wanted to put his emphasis. And so at that point, after a couple of months, I ended up working with Scott Oldford this last summer, for whom I also did some writing. And he's got this big thing right now on Leadcraft. He's got a big launch as we're recording this called for his signature program, which is called Leadcraft, and he's got a couple of other ideas for more programs coming up. But I was writing for him as well. And long story short, I began to see over the last year that people kept coming to me and asking me for questions about marketing and about content and about writing and about all of these things. And I realized, where the market asks you for help, that's kind of where you need to go. If you want to have a real business, a viable business, you need to go where people are willing to pull out their wallets and pay you. Otherwise, you've just got a hobby. And I love coaching, and I'm still passionate about it, as you can tell. However, if I'm having trouble getting parents to pull out their wallets and pay me, and people are willing to pay me for my content and my copywriting, I'm there because I love that too.
That is an amazing story, Deborah.
Mm.
I mean, I remember when Deborah and I were in a coaching session together, and we were talking
Right.
about our different areas of expertise. And Debbie was very passionate about coaching parents because Deborah saw the need of parents not knowing what to do with their teenagers, or parents not knowing what to do with their younger kids. And so it takes a lot of courage to pivot. So folks, just take to heart what Debbie just shared about pivoting. When you see that the market is asking for something else and they're willing to pay you for it, be willing and be courageous enough to say, you know what, let's put this aside first and let's move into something else. And that is what pivoting is about. So
Right.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. It's really, really highly impacting to me. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Yeah, it was, like I said, I resisted it for a while. It was tough. But I'm still doing some coaching. I'm still working with the kids at our church. So I'm still doing what I love. But there you go.
Wow. So in other words, you're doing everything. You're doing parenting coaching, and you're doing youth coaching. You're doing content.
A little bit on the side. Over the last few months, I made a conscious decision not to continue to market to businesses because that was exhausting. So if somebody comes to me and they want coaching, I will happily help them. I would love to help them, but I'm no longer marketing that, at least right now at this point in time.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm very excited for you. Now let's move into the word for the day, which is mastermind.
Sure.
Debbie, can you talk about what the 3 advantages are of being part of a mastermind group, please?
Yeah, actually, there are 4 kind of advantages in what you get out of being in a mastermind. And the 4 key things are, first of all, peer support, because you're with other like-minded people who have the same desire to be successful and to help each other. A second piece of it is accountability, which is absolutely huge. And I'd love to have a chance to chat about accountability in a couple of minutes, why that's so important. Mentoring, which is also really important. There needs to be some way, as you called it, growth. And that's absolutely true. There needs to be some way to grow, and that comes through mentoring. And then the 4th piece of it is connections. And again, as you pointed out earlier, that comes from joint venture partnerships. It comes from just networking. It comes from, how do you help each other? There's so many different ways that making referrals for somebody. So those are the 4 pieces: peer support, accountability, mentoring, and the connections that you get from being part of a mastermind.
Excellent. And do you want to touch on the accountability now or a little bit later?
Yeah, no, this is great. So the thing about accountability is our brains are wired to conserve energy. And when we think about something, it takes literally takes a lot of energy, a lot of glucose and all the chemical stuff behind it, but it does. It takes a lot of actual chemical energy. And so what we do is we tend to do whatever's easiest. And that's why, even though we know something is important, whether it's important to a relationship or it's important to your business or it's important to achieve your goals or whatever it might be, we know mentally it's important. But when you're sitting there at your computer, or you've got a choice between this important and challenging thing and this easy and maybe urgent thing, like, oh, I've got to respond to this email because they're waiting for me. Well, that's not important. It just feels urgent and it's easy. And so that's why what accountability does is you tell your group up front, you say, this week, these are the 3 or 4 or 5 things I'm going to accomplish. And then when you meet them next week, they say, how did you do? And you could say, wow, this came up and this came up. I got through 3 of the 4 things. I didn't get to the 4th thing. And then they look at you and they say, and this is the peer support, how can I help you? What can we do? What can we brainstorm? Can we solve that problem for you? Is there something that you need from us that will help you achieve all that you've decided is important to grow your business, or to fix your relationship, or to improve your health, or whatever it might be? How can we help you? And that's why accountability is so important.
Definitely. I completely agree with you, Deborah. I mean, accountability to me is one of the top keys in success, because if I'm not accountable to somebody, I'm, like you said, I'm just going to drift. And I do not like drifting. I really do
Yeah.
not like that. So thank you so much for sharing not just 3 advantages of mastermind groups, but 4: peer
Mhm.
support, accountability, mentoring, and connections. Huge, huge
Right,
advantages, folks.
right, right.
Now, Debbie, I want to dive into 3 things that people need to look for when deciding which mastermind group to join. And maybe you can tell us a story about to support one of
Yeah.
them.
So when you're trying to decide on a mastermind, first of all, one of the things you look for is, logistically, are you personally able to commit to being there? It's important that you make an actual commitment to that group, whether it's a virtual group or it's an in-person group. You need to be able to commit. And I'm talking about logistics. I mean, is it 45 minutes away from your house and you know that's going to be a problem during the winter when the snow comes down? Is it meeting it virtually? Is it meeting at a time when sometimes you might have to go out and pick up your kids and sometimes you won't? You really have to look at it logistically. Can I commit? And the second part of that is, can everybody else in the group commit? What do they really like? And that kind of comes along with the second piece of this is, do you connect well with the people in the group? Are they the kind of people that you want to hang out with? I have visited a lot of, like, for instance, networking groups like BNI groups. I kind of made the rounds for a while. I was checking them out when I was trying to decide if that was the right thing for me. And it's interesting. You go into a group and you get a vibe. You get are they welcoming? Are they helpful? Are they interested in you? And so make sure that you really connect with the people there. And the third piece that's really important to look for when you're looking at a mastermind group is there a solid structure? It shouldn't be something where it's just you get together every week or every other week and it's kind of a free for all and you just try to figure out, who needs help today and how can, there needs to be a solid structure. And so it doesn't matter what that structure is, as long as it's something that's consistent and that the people in the group say, yeah, this is helpful to us. And then the last thing I also want to point out too is there are actually 3 mastermind groups that everyone should be a part of. The first one is free, with peers. So for instance, I went to an event in Cyprus earlier this year, and I met some really wonderful people. They all happen to live in the UK, and we meet virtually just about every week, probably about 3 times a month. And so they are in 3 different places in the UK. So we all get on Zoom and we talk almost every week and we support each other. We are each other's peers, and that's a free group, and we are committed to being there for each other. And they've been so helpful to me. I love being part of that group. The second group is a paid group with a mentor. Everybody should be in a high-level paid group. Now, that doesn't mean, when I say high level, it doesn't mean you have to pay a lot of money. Some of them you do. There are some out there that you don't have to pay a lot of money, but you need kind of a mentor who's running the group, who's committed to being there, and who is going to be providing the mentoring piece, or most of the, maybe not all of it, but at least most of the mentoring piece that we talked about earlier. And then the last group is your own group, one that you start, that people pay you for. And that's what I'm doing with the local mastermind groups. I'm starting, we've got the one that started not too far from where I live. And you mentioned earlier, my goal is to start many throughout the New England region over the next 3 years. So those are the 3 different groups that everybody should try to be a part of, particularly if you're an entrepreneur.
My goodness, these are such important and valuable points that you bring up, Debbie. So folks, if you get the chance, do your best to find a free mastermind group, and also be willing to invest and pay for a mastermind group. And then, of course, think about what to do about forming your own mastermind group. Now, that leads me into my next question, Debbie.
Mhm.
What are 3 mistakes that people make when forming their own mastermind groups, please?
Yeah, so the first one goes back to accountability, and that's by not having a real structure that helps people find the accountability that they need in order to take those steps. We talked about why that's important, and so that's a big mistake that people need. We all need motivation, which is from inside, and that often comes from inspiration, which is from outside. So, it goes back to my parent coaching thing. Parents want to inspire their children to be all that they can be. And in the same way, as part of a mastermind group, we want to inspire our peers and our fellow members to be all that they can be. But the motivation comes from inside. So that's the first one. We need accountability. The second one is lack of focus. And I guess I was part of a peer mastermind group probably 2.5 years ago-ish, maybe 3 years ago. I'd have to go back and look. And it was a group of people who had met at an event, and we brought in 1 or 2 other people, and there were about 6 of us. And we were meeting pretty regularly for a little while, but little by little, people just started to we didn't have a focus, and people stopped showing up. And so that group fell by the wayside, which is too bad. So if you don't have a focus, if you don't have a real reason to meet. And actually the story behind this too is my group that I met in Cyprus, we were all in the same training together. And so that's the kind of the focus of what we're doing as we meet is we know that we have the same mentor, and we're all working together on his processes in order to put them into our business. So lack of focus is the second mistake. And then a third mistake, and hopefully you don't run into this, but it does happen, is when 1 or 2 people in a group just really monopolize the conversation. So that's upon the leader of the group to make sure that doesn't happen. So everybody has their fair chance to contribute.
Wow, wonderful. This is amazing. I'm just taking down notes. That's why I got a little bit distracted there.
Excellent. I'm glad.
Yes, I'm so glad that you're part of an international mastermind group. So folks, it doesn't mean that just because you're in a certain location and you cannot find a mastermind group there, it doesn't mean that you cannot connect with other people online virtually. Like Debbie has people from all over the world, and they're talking about that training that they went through, that they all paid for and invested in, and they're digging into and delving into the training, and they're getting so much out of it because they're committed and they show up and they hold each other accountable. So this is just such valuable information, Debbie.
Right.
I want to move on to content marketing, because you're also an expert at copywriting and content marketing.
Right.
Now, could you please share what are some of the best practices for small business owners to create engaging content that develops and strengthens their relationships with prospects, warm leads, and even existing customers, please?
Yeah, and actually what you said is exactly right. It's all about relationships, which is probably why I like it, because of my coaching background and working with teenagers and all of that, right? It is all about establishing a relationship with your prospect or your current customer. And the idea is you want to, you need to move from that, oh yeah, I know who you are, to, yeah, I really like you, to, oh, now I trust you enough, I'm ready to pull out my wallet so that you can help me and I can pay you. So that's that whole thing. It's all about the relationship. And you have to, I could talk about this for a long time. You have to recognize that when you first meet somebody, or when somebody first meets you and your content or your information, they don't know you very much, and they're not likely going to give you very much of their time. So the first piece that you offer to someone, in order for it to be relevant to what their attention span is, if they don't know you, it needs to be short, sweet, to the point, bullet points, outline the subheads, make it easy to consume. They want to be done in 3 to 5 minutes tops. And then as they get to know you better and they begin to like you, you can ask them to engage with something longer. Maybe it's a 1,000-word blog post. Maybe it's a lead magnet that you send to them when they opt in. That when they opt in, they're raising their hand and saying, "Yeah, I'm interested in learning more." Maybe it's a 2 or 3 video series, and each video is 3 to 7 minutes long, something like that. So that's a really important piece of it, is understanding where they are in their journey as they begin to want to solve their problem, and you educate them in what the problem is and that there is a solution. There are other people who can help them solve it, and you actually have a solution for them if they'd like to consider it. So that's kind of the journey they go through as in that relationship. So how do you create great content besides being relevant to where they are in their journey? Be original. And even if you're writing about something that's been around forever, what's your original perspective on it? Be relevant to your audience. We talked about that in terms of their awareness of their problem. Be relatable. How relatable are you? You want to attract the right people. I'm the kind of person who would attract probably parents and small business owners who are focused on kids and want to spend time with their family. And if, I'm not probably going to attract the kind of people who do a lot of swearing and are macho, and, that's fine. I don't want them in my world. I'm not relatable to them, and they're not really relatable to me. So that's fine. And then in terms of where you put your content, you want to make sure that it's user-friendly. And again, you want to inspire action. Always have a call to action at the end, even if it's just share, comment, like, click, and buy. That's another call to action you can ask for. Doesn't always have to be the one, though.
My goodness. I know we can spend hours on this because this is
Yes.
such valuable information on how long should an email be when you're first getting to know your prospect, how long should a video be when they're warming up to you, and so on and so forth. So folks, I hope if you didn't catch that, watch the replay, because what Debbie just shared is incredibly valuable to how you create content. It has to be relatable. You have to be relatable. It has to be relevant. It has to be something that they find value in. Anyway, let's take a few moments to thank our sponsors. Welcome back. Debbie, would you share one business career story that could help not only entrepreneurs like yourself, but others in whatever career path they're on, please?
Well, the most humbling story I can share is when I first started out, when I was still teaching and I was just starting to try to figure out, what do I want to do for a business? And here's the word of advice I can give to everyone. And that is, don't try to sell a product until you actually do some market research. I was, as a teacher, I'm a nerd, and I was interested in learning better and faster. And so I did tons of research, and I came up with this awesome, incredible 10-module program, and I interviewed people, and I had this awesome idea about how I could teach people to learn better and faster. That was my first product. I didn't have a business. I just had this amazing idea for a product that I actually started to put together. And first of all, I didn't know a thing about marketing at that time. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And then the second piece of it is, I didn't do any market research. Probably if I'd known about marketing, I would have done some market research, right? But the point is, I didn't know that I was like in this minority of people who want to learn better and faster. And I've since learned that the word learn is not a good word to use when you're copywriting. You want to use the word like discover. So you don't want to tell people, learn how to do this. You want to actually tell them, discover how to do this, because most people are lazy. Let's face it, we all are. It goes back to what I said earlier about accountability. A brain's always looking for the easy way out, and people don't want to learn. Some of us actually love learning, and so that's kind of the big story I would love to share is, do your market research before you bring a product to market, because if nobody wants to buy it, then it's pointless.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being so authentic and so humble to share your story with us, because folks, the best way to learn is not by making our own mistakes. The best way to learn is from learning what other people have done, the mistakes that they've made, so that we don't have to make them. And I know, and I believe that Debbie has learned so much from not just failures that she's had, but failures that others have experienced, right, Debbie? You've learned more from what other failures others have experienced.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, this show is not only about business and career hacks, but also about life hacks and redemptive stories. I've experienced several redemptive stories in my life. Debbie, would you share one redemptive story, either in your personal or professional life, please?
Well, the one I had prepared to share was the one about how I ended up pivoting, because you go through life sometimes where you're so focused on I know this is my path. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And sometimes things don't always work out the way you think they're going to. And so what do you do about it? And so the idea behind the redemptive story is when doors, they're not opening, when you're waiting, knocking on the door and you're saying, hey, how can I get here? And all of a sudden this other door opens, jump through that door, man. Don't wait around and say, well, that's not the right door. So like when I said that I started having the opportunity to work with big people like Todd Brown and Scott Oldford and Justin Devonshire, who became my private business coach. I mean, when I had the opportunity to do stuff like that, I was really excited, and yet at the same time, I struggled to make the commitment to go ahead and walk through those doors. In fact, like I said earlier, it was really only about 3 months ago I made the mental decision to stop marketing my coaching business because I was exhausted trying to market 2 businesses at the same time. And so I had to commit to the one where the market was asking for help. Jackie, Debbie, can you hear me? No, I cannot hear you.
Oh, you know what
Oh,
happened?
there, now I can. Okay, great.
Debbie, do you mind repeating what you just? I apologize. My internet, whatever happened, happened. Google shut me down and then brought me back into the room. So let's do that again because we're going to edit this out. So I'm going to ask the question again if you don't mind sharing.
Nope. Nope. Yep.
Let's
Go ahead.
begin. Debbie, would you share one business? Oh, excuse me. We're not there. Sorry. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Debbie, this show is not only about business and career hacks, but about life hacks and redemptive stories. I've experienced several redemptive stories in my own life. Would you share one redemptive story either in your personal or professional life, please?
Sure. And the one that I had prepared to share was the one about how I ended up having to pivot because I was, I kept knocking at the doors for the coaching business, and I didn't know enough about marketing, and I didn't have the wherewithal. I didn't have the background. I'd been a teacher for 12 years. What did I know about running my own business? I was learning like crazy, as you can imagine, learning like crazy, but I still didn't know enough for a long time to make a go of that business. And when the doors started to open for me to do writing and to learn about marketing and to rub elbows with some of the greatest marketers out there, Todd Brown, Scott Oldford, Justin Devonshire, Dan Meredith, Ryan Lee. I mean, I've worked with all of these people, and I've had, face-to-face conversations. Some of them have been my clients. Most of them have also coached me in a lot of ways. And so when those doors started to open, sometimes you have to accept the fact that this is not working, but that might. And so when the door opens, just jump right through it, folks. Don't wait around and second guess. I guess that's kind of my key thing there. And Jessica wrote, failures are the seeds to future successes. I agree with you completely, Jessica. I don't think of it as failure. I think of it as an opportunity to learn something new. And so, we just don't want to keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Sometimes we do. Eventually we stop. And once you're able to kind of put all the pieces together and pull out the key lessons, then you're able to identify, okay, this is the door I should walk through, and I'm okay with that.
Indeed so. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's really powerful because folks we can glean so much from just this one story alone that Debbie has shared. It's such a redemptive story, and as Debbie said, don't wait. Do your best to, there's people that are asking for you to help them, and they're willing to pay you for it. Go check that out. Try it out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. Now we are at the legendary legacy section. Debbie, would you kindly show us a picture of you and your husband and your kids, please?
Yeah. So we've got one picture with the whole family, the 5 of us, and then one picture right next to it of our 3 children who are no longer little children. They're millennials. So
yes, they are. Can you tell us what their names are from left to right of the
Sure. Well, I can't tell which is left and which is right, but that's my husband is over here. That's my husband there. And then our oldest son is Alex. He's a lieutenant in the Navy. He's on a submarine. And then Brittany is our daughter. He's 26, she's 23, and she's just finishing nursing school. And our younger son is Christian. He's 20, and he is a music composition major writing film scores at NYU. So this is up at our favorite place in Maine last year. And yeah, that's where we like to vacation, and that's who our kids are.
Beautiful. You have such a beautiful family, Debbie.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, I really, first, I want to just acknowledge Alex. I just want to honor him as a lieutenant in the Navy. So we just salute him and we just honor him for for serving in the armed forces and serving in the Navy. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
that, Debbie.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Debbie, imagine this. Decades and decades and decades from today, you've already generated millions of dollars in revenue in your business. You're a successful entrepreneur. You've lived a full life and you're on your deathbed and you have 5 more minutes with your children and grandchildren, perhaps. What final words would you say to them?
So you asked me to write a letter. So shall I read this letter?
Sure, if you can.
All right.
If you want.
So let's see. Okay. I actually will have trouble getting through this.
No worries. Yeah, just take your time.
So the most pivotal quote of my life comes from the first line of Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life. And he starts out by saying, it's not about you. And so this essentially wraps up everything I've lived by for my entire life. In fact, my 5 values are completely consistent with this statement. And they are love, joy, compassion, hope, and presence. And whenever I make decisions, I always go back to this quote and to these values. So I recommend starting living by something similar. Start with, it's not about you, and then identify what your own personal values are, and infuse those values in everything you do, every interaction, every conversation, every decision. And when you start to feel sad or frustrated, come back to that quote and to whatever your values are and remain focused on them every day. And speaking of every day, it's easy to see how many people kind of wander through life without any real goals. And for some, that's fine. But for most of us, we do need to feel a sense of purpose, of meaning. And the best way to do that is to actually set some goals for yourself, short-term goals and long-term goals, and you write them down every day. And I mean that seriously, write them down every day. You'll find that they do change over time, and that's okay. Be adaptable based on changing circumstances, which is another important tip. And if you don't have a compelling reason to get up every day, why bother, right? So pick some goals that matter to yourself, to your family, and to your community, and write them down every day. And even though life isn't about you, you still do need to prioritize your personal time. So take care of yourself every day. Exercise, relax for a few minutes, go for a walk in the woods like I do, eat properly, treat yourself to rewards when you accomplish something, even if it's small. Make sure you feel great, because you can't have compassion and take care of others if you have nothing left in your own tank. And finally, be present in the moment. Really connect with the person in front of you. Don't just listen to them, really hear them. Make them feel important and loved, and you will both feel great.
Oh, my goodness. Debbie, that was just so touching and so powerful. And I just really felt that even across the miles and across the airwaves and across the web. Thank you so much for sharing. That's just such a sacred time. And I really appreciate you for taking the time to really craft that letter and sharing it with us. The things that you shared are so valuable and so important. I'm just incredibly grateful to you, Debbie.
Well, thank you. I love to cry on live TV, right?
Wow. Well, it just really touches my heart. And your children and your future grandchildren are just so blessed. I'm just so honored that I got a chance and opportunity to interview you today.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, we're going to move to the legacy sprint, folks. And
All right.
I get to ask Debbie questions, and Debbie gets to answer my questions in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready, Debbie?
I am. I've got my answers already.
Awesome. Debbie, what is one top reason people fail in business?
I looked this up, and the New York Times says the math just doesn't work. There's not enough demand for the product or service at a price that will produce a profit for the company. And then the second part of that is owners who don't get out of their own way. They might be stubborn, risk averse, conflict averse. They're unable to correct their mistakes. So the money and the owner, those are the key things that the New York Times says. Thank you, Steve.
Definitely. Love, there's so many comments coming in, and
Yeah.
thank you very much. Debbie, what is one action you take daily that brings you to your present business and career goals?
Well, I write and then I rewrite my goals, short-term and long-term, every day, as I just indicated. And that helps me stay focused on what they are. I put them in front of my face every single day, and I write them out. So that's an important piece of it.
That's powerful. I mean, I don't think I've met anybody who writes their long-term goals every day. I mean, I write short-term goals, but long-term goals daily, that's amazing. I'm impressed.
Well, I'm looking at 1 year in advance. I probably could do 5 years too. I probably should add that now that you mention it.
There you go.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent. Debbie, what are your top 3 favorite books? I'm sure you have a lot of them, but just currently, what are your top 3 favorite books, please?
I'm a librarian, right? So I read a lot. I read tons of business books and marketing and copywriting, but I didn't want to pick one of those. So The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren is absolutely my number one favorite. And then just for fun, I love the Harry Potter series, and I also was reading the Outlander series years ago before it became a TV hit. So those are my favorite books.
Love it. Very good. Now, what is your favorite dish, please?
Ice cream, hands down, especially peppermint with hot fudge on top.
I love it. I love ice cream too.
So much for eating healthy, right?
Exactly, exactly. I didn't say healthy, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What is your favorite vacation spot?
We love to go up to Maine. We have a place up there, and we go up all year long as often as we can. It's where I tore my ACL last winter skiing, and I can't wait to get back out on the slopes this year. I'm still in recovery, but I'm planning to get out there. But outside of that, I think I had a really hard time answering this one. Hawaii, Alaska, Paris, London. I don't know. It's hard to say. I just love to travel.
There you go. I know
Yeah.
your favorite vacation spot is the world.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Okay. Well, Debbie, what are your 3 favorite hobbies or leisure activities, please?
Downhill skiing, even though I mess myself up. Being out in the woods or at the beach, either one. I love just being outside, and reading just about anything. I'm constantly reading on my phone, on my computer, on my Kindle, in a paper book, anything I can, newspaper, anything I can read, I'm reading it constantly.
I love it. I love reading too. Now, Debbie, do you have one favorite quote you'd like to share, please?
Yeah, and I said it in the letter. It's not about you. The opening line in Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, now it's time to promote you. What would you like to promote, and how can folks get in touch with you, Debbie?
Well, thank you for asking. My content and copy is at winningcontentstrategy.com, and I also have blog posts about Mastermind there as well. And then the other one, youcanraisegreatkids.com. That's my parenting and youth coaching website. Even though I'm not formally marketing it hard, like I said, I love to work with parents and I love to work with youth. And so if anybody needs some help in that area, I have a lot of experience, 12 years of high school kids and raising 3 terrific children of our own. And then I do want to tell you, as part of this whole parenting thing, I am in a podcast called The Mighty Married Moms. So you can find us at mightymarriedmoms.com, and we actually have an online event coming up. We're launching in November. I would love for people, if I don't know if this is when show is coming out, but you can still go check it out even if it comes out after the event. It's the Women's Holiday Success Series, and we've got some fabulous interviews there for people to talk about how to handle holiday stress, coming out in mid-November. So these are the places that people can find me, and I would love to hear from people at any of those locations.
Wow. Please continue holding that up. I'm going to just read it out. winningcontentstrategy.com, youcanraisegreatkids.com, and mightymarriedmoms.com.
Yep.
Fabulous. I am so excited for you, Debbie. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in with us on this episode of the 21st Century Legacy Letter Show. I'd like to leave you a legacy quotation. Since our legacy word for this episode is mastermind, I want to leave you a quote from Napoleon Hill. He says, "The mastermind principle is the principle through which you can accomplish in 1 year more than you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if
Yep.
you depended entirely on your own efforts for success." And that's a quote from Napoleon Hill, who popularized mastermind groups all over the world. Thank you so much for tuning in again. And as usual, I want to encourage you to live a life of significance and leave your legendary legacy. How did you feel, Deborah?
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be part of this show.
Wow, you are getting so many compliments. Jessica, beautiful, resonates tremendously. Thank you, Deborah. And Steve says, "We love to see the human side, Deborah."
Yeah.
And Steve also says, "Your compassion is evident through your tears." And Jessica says, "Bravo, ladies. Woohoo."
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to have you all in the audience. Thank you for being here. And we appreciate your support and you just interacting with us. We really do.
Exactly, exactly. Now, I'd like to pop up the bonuses. For those of you who are live and are watching the replay, I'm going to pop up Deborah's bonus. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. Here it is. Now, it is called 10 Simple Steps to Get More Leads and Grow Your Local Business. So click on the orange button that says Get Access Now. Can you tell us just a little bit about these 10 simple steps, please, Deborah?
Yeah, it's just it says for local businesses, but I'm gearing it obviously toward trying to get more local businesses to be part of the whole mastermind program. Honestly, anybody can use these 10 steps. They're really just about how to connect with we talked about this earlier. It's all about the relationship, right? It's how to connect with people, how to provide content and information that's really valuable to them.
Excellent. Steve says, "Thank you both. I really enjoyed it." Now, before you all log off, I want you to get your bonus. So please click on the orange button that says Get Access Now. I'd love for you to be, to have Debbie's bonus, 10 simple steps to get more leads and grow your local business. So whether you're a small business owner and maybe you're doing jewelry or you're doing whatever it is, maybe essential oils, or if you're a massage therapist, or if you're a real estate agent, or if you're a financial planner, or you're a
Or
coach,
even an online coach. Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
An online coach. This will help you really create content on how to get more leads and how to really reach out to prospects, correct? I mean, prospects, warm leads, and existing
Yep.
customers.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome,
Definitely.
awesome. All right, now I want folks to get the opportunity to ask my featured guest, Deborah Cundey Owen, your questions live. So if you have any questions, please type it in the chat room, and if you want, we can also bring you into the webcast room. But I have a couple of questions that came in
Sure.
through the survey. So, Deborah, what is the greatest takeaway from being in a mastermind group? Like, what is you've been in so many of them, and what are maybe, if not just one, maybe the top three reasons that you would invest in another mastermind group, please?
Oh yeah. Well, there is a group I want to join when I gather a little bit more cash flow, and it's not inexpensive. And the reasons that I want to join this particular group, it's actually Lisa Sasovich's group. I'll tell you right out. I want to join her group, partly because of the connections. I think the connections will be tremendous. Partly because of the mentoring. She is highly successful, and I want to learn from her what it is that makes her successful. And the opportunities that, I mean, honestly, as a copywriter and a content marketer, all the people in that group they're my perfect clients. So it comes back to connections again. So, and I've been to her events once or twice, and I really liked the people who were there. So that's what I'm very interested in doing. That's one of my next steps.
Fantastic. Now, another question came in, Debbie. This is an interesting question. What is your worst takeaway from being in a mastermind group? You probably answered a while ago, like things that people should avoid. But what you personally experienced?
Okay, I'll actually go back to my very first mastermind group, and I will tell you I had no business being in that group. The guy who was the guru, let's use the term, the guy who was the guru, I love him. He's an awesome person. He's brilliant at what he does, highly successful. But I did not know enough. I should not have been in that group. I needed a lot more hand-holding than he was going to give. And so that's one thing to look out for, is if you're joining a mastermind group, make sure you're getting what you need. I didn't know what I needed at that point in time. I know now. But if you need hand-holding, join a group where you're going to get hand-holding. If you need somebody who's just going to provide mentoring and teaching, join a group that will do that. Make sure you know what you're getting.
Oh, these are just so fantastic. Some fantastic answers, folks. Now, Debbie, in the mastermind groups that you are starting and forming and already have created in the Boston area, what are the things that, are you forming different groups focusing on different things, or are they going to be similar? Or can you share a little bit about what you
let me tell you, I'd love to tell you a little bit about this. This is from my business coach, Justin Devonshire, and he's teaching me how to do this. And the idea behind it is I'm starting this first group. We're still looking to get some more people involved, but I'm starting this first group. It's in a town not too far from here. Lots of small local businesses in that town. And the way I'm doing it is I'm going out and speaking about once every 4 to 6 weeks. I create my own event, and I run Facebook ads, and I pound the pavement, and I hand out my newsletter, and I invite people to come, and I'm inviting people to be in this mastermind group. Once we get, it's going to cap at 30 people. Once we get up to around 25 or so people, I will start the next group and move it in a couple of towns away, so that it will be, logistics. We talked about logistics. And I know there are a lot of BNI types of groups and other types of networking groups, and those are valuable, but a mastermind group is a little bit different than a networking group. It provides the mentoring, it provides accountability, and it provides that peer support. And those are the 3 things that you don't necessarily get at a networking group. So that's my goal, is to plant all of these, and I will train up other people. It's only $35 a month to be in it. I want people to pay so they have some skin in the game. It's not a lot though. And the idea is just to make sure that, I will train up other people to lead these groups. I won't lead 30 groups on my own, obviously. That's not logistically possible. But the idea is to train up a lot of people, and then we'll have quarterly events, and we'll bring in some of the international speakers and the local speakers that I know who can provide valuable business information.
This is just so exciting, Deborah. I mean, I'm just so excited for you. And how many have you so far been able to speak to?
Well, I've only had a couple of events. I've got my 3rd one coming up next month. So, like I said, the group is small right now. We're growing. We've got people who are interested. So we're trying to, work out all the details. And I'm really excited this is that 3rd mastermind group that I told you about, right? I've got my peer group. I've been in paid groups before. Now it's my turn to start up my own groups and share what I've learned, and bring in the people that I've had influence from, and share those marketing tips as well.
Wow, exciting. I have a question about mastermind groups. Do you have to have all the legalese all set before you start your mastermind groups, Deborah?
I hope not. I mean, we're just starting to meet. I've got a sponsor who's offered a location for us to meet, which is great. These speaking events, I've got a great little cafe. She's thrilled to have me come in because they're relatively new, and I'm paying for the Facebook ads and bringing new people to her cafe, and she thinks it's fantastic. So she's not even charging me very much to have these speaking events either, which is great.
Wow, what a win-win. How exciting.
Yeah.
And what will be the focus of these mastermind groups? I know they're local businesses. Do you have a particular focus for each one of them? Or, I mean, are they going to be similar in focus?
Yeah, the idea is just to have an opportunity for those small businesses that you just described, the hairdresser, the liquor store owner, the gas station owner, the chiropractor, those kinds of people, to have a place where they can learn marketing and business strategies that they're not going to learn anywhere else.
Right. And
it's growth.
When you promote the mastermind groups that you're starting and have started to these business owners, how do you share your quote unquote pitch, as opposed to, like you said, BNI? Do they get it that they're going to learn something, or do they like the accountability, the mentoring, and so on? Is that how you pitch?
Yeah, because actually the presentations that I'm doing are kind of like a mini mastermind. And so I'm actually teaching a couple of things. One of the things I'm teaching is how to use Facebook organically, so you don't have to pay for ads in order to get leads and sales. And another thing that I'm teaching is how to really do networking, both in person and kind of on the phone, how to do that. And then we do a hot seat, and then we do then I give a presentation about the 4 pieces of masterminds and why they're so important. And so yeah, there's definitely teaching, there's hot seats, there's sharing, and the people have loved being there. It's been a great experience for everybody involved so far.
I really like that, where you limit the number of people, where it's not so big that it becomes so overwhelming and people don't get to really know each other, but you're keeping it, you're doing your best to keep it small or smaller. That way people get value and they get the connections and they can still become referrals to each other.
Right.
But it's not so big.
Right. And unlike a lot of other networking groups, we are not limiting to, one hairdresser or one realtor, because we believe, and this is what I've been taught by my mentors, that it's so much better to have cooperation than competition. And, if you've got 2 hairdressers, how can they help each other? There are ways. We can figure it out. If you've got 2 realtors, how can they help each other? There are ways you can figure it out. There doesn't need to be competition.
That is such incredible information, because that's how most people will think about a group. Well, there's already, in fact, there are some meetup groups that I've seen where they only allow 1 realtor, they only allow 1 salesperson from this particular industry. And but you're saying no, it's not going to be that way, because it's more collaboration as opposed to competition.
Right. And there are ways to figure it out. You just got to think outside the box, be creative. We should help each other. We should lift each other up. We shouldn't be worried about, stealing each other. I mean, because let's say we've got a 6-foot former football player who's a realtor, and we've got a 5'5" former actress who's a realtor. I mean, they're going to attract different types of people. Not everybody's going to relate to each of them, and that's fine. And so how can they help each other?
I totally agree. I mean, instead of having this scarcity mindset, I really believe it comes from a scarcity mindset. Why not have the abundance mindset and think, like you said, out of the box, and see each other as collaborators, as people, as allies, as opposed to, oh, that's my competition. Because like you said, I'm not going to attract the same kind of people that this other person's going to attract.
Right.
So that's amazing.
Right.
Wow, excellent. Well, I don't see any questions. If folks, this is the last chance I'm going to ask you, please just type in the chat room your questions. I've been getting so much information from my own questions.
Wonderful, that's great.
Yeah, so let me pop up one more offer, and that is, I'm going to invite you to join the 21st Century Legacy Letters Facebook community, and just click the orange button that says, yes, I want in now. Whether you're watching live or on the replay, you're welcome to come in. And I don't offer this all the time, except on the show. I don't offer it during the week, because I know that there are trolls out there, and I've seen people trolling the other communities that I've been a part of. And it is such a waste of time. They'll just spam every single post using robots with their own promos, this and that, email this and that. There's some kind of a, not a lottery, but some kind of some service going on. And so, it's there's a lot of trolls out there. So I'm very, very particular and very careful when I do offer access to this Facebook community. So please, if you're not going to spam, please click the orange button that says, yes, I want in now. I'm going to give you 10 moments, and then I'm going to pop up Debbie's offer one more time before we go. Let's see if you have any questions. Marianne says, thank you so much. Steve says, thank you both. I really enjoyed it. And Marianne has a comment here, Debbie. She says, I'm happy to hear about Mastermind Groups. Thank you. I had never heard of that group until Jackie brought it to my attention. It has been very interesting. So there's not a lot of folks, I mean, not everybody knows about Mastermind Groups. And how did you find out about it, Deborah?
Well, it goes way back to that first mastermind that I was telling you about. And I had been following this gentleman. I'm not going to name names, but I had been following this gentleman, and I loved his products, had a lot to do with brain training. And as a teacher, I was really interested in finding out how the brain works. I wanted to start applying that into the teaching that I was doing. And so long story short, I just connected with, of course, his salesperson calls and finds out what you're doing. And I told him I was interested in starting this learn better, faster program. And he was like, oh, you should be in the mastermind. And I shouldn't have been in the mastermind at that point in time. But that's how I found out about it. And I can't say that it wasn't a valuable experience. It was tremendously valuable. I didn't know what KPIs were before that. And there was a lot of other stuff I didn't know, which I was introduced to. However, I was still not quite ready for that level of investment, and I shouldn't have been there. So
You know what? I'm going to pop up I'm going to pop up your offer again.
sure.
And I have the same story. I'm going to load up Debbie's bonus for you. So please click on the orange button that says get access now to Debbie's 10 simple steps to get more leads and grow your local business. And I just want to share a very short story with Debbie because it really relates to what you just shared.
Yeah.
The first time I joined a mastermind, it was really way over my head. And they were talking about all these different things. And these folks were making 7 and 8 figures. And so the
Yeah.
mastermind group wasn't that expensive because the machine was already going. So we would get these monthly calls, and you could you could watch virtually the calls, and this expert on such and such topic they would have 4 hot seats, and you could learn from these folks and so on and so forth. But I wasn't there yet. I didn't even know what I wanted to create. So
Right,
I mean, I
right.
had an idea, but I wasn't there yet. So I totally relate to that. So folks, please learn from my mistake and Debbie's mistake, right? That don't join masterminds that are really just already they're just way ahead of us, and
Yeah.
just pick something that's a little bit closer to where you are. Right, Debbie?
Yeah, and that goes back to what I said earlier: is know what you need, and then find a group that supplies that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so very much, folks. I really appreciate you being with my featured guest, Deborah Cundey Owen, and with me live today. And for those watching the replay, thank you for watching. I hope you get your bonus. I hope you download it. It's going to be available for the replay attendees as well. And Debbie, thank you so much. What an honor to be with you. Can you just give me a short testimony of how did I do today?
Jackie, it has been such a pleasure to be on your show. I'm thrilled to be a participant here, and you are doing an awesome job as a host, and you're bringing in great ideas and great guests, and you're rocking it. So this is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to clip that and put that on the
I
web
know you
page.
will.
Yes. And do you need for me to give you a testimonial? I can clip it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love one.
Okay. Well, folks, Deborah Cundey Owen, I've known her for over a year now, and she is definitely worth the price of your investment. Whether you want to invest in her expertise in content marketing or mastermind groups, I definitely encourage you to do so. Deborah has been around and has the experience, has the connections, and has the wisdom and the knowledge to share with you. So folks, don't hesitate, just invest with Deborah Cundey Owen.
Thank you. Awesome.
All righty. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, folks. I really appreciate you all, and have a fantastic rest of your day. And again, go and live a life of significance and leave your legendary legacy.
Thank
All
you.
righty. Well, Deborah, thank you very much. I'm not sure how to stop the broadcast except to click on the red phone. So,
All right. That's what we'll do.
like I said, as soon as we get this edited, I'll let you know the links to when we pop it up to those two big platforms, and I'll let you know.
Great. And thank you again to all of you attendees. I really appreciated your interaction. And if there's anything I can do to support you, please let me know.
Fabulous, folks. That's Deborah Cundey Owen, friend of mine, and I really appreciate you all for coming. And thank you again, Deborah. What an honor to interview you, and what an honor to just get a chance to interact and for you to be on my show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm eternally grateful.
That was great. Thanks so much, Jackie. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Talk soon. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.